Greetings, ladies and gents. Today we'll be reviewing Final Sunset by Nicky Dicky. Now, Nicky Dicky's Final Sunset is quite an interesting book in which you take the place of a professional esports player. Now, while we don't have much to go on at this point in time, what we do have is 20,000 beautifully written words and what I can honestly say is quite an awful gameplay loop. Now, in terms of story, fantastic. Andrea, 10 out of 10, would punch out again. In terms of game mechanics, I just can't get into the whole Battle Royale thing. The way it plays is repetitive. The mechanics are awkward. You feel like you're picking something up and then you don't really know how to use it. And it's all just really quite a mess, which honestly you expect from a game at this point in time, at this stage in development. Um, but man, do the characters have personality. Vlada, love her. She's perfect in every way she is, except for the fact that she's with Andre, who I would love to murder at some point in the game. Just saying. Um, But the fact that we get to punch him within the first 20,000 words is a fantastic sign for the direction of the game, because it tells us not only are we going to be repeatedly faced with these characters, but we're going to have options to interact with them in ways that provide us with a lot of freedom. Particularly having the option to punch him. Most games wouldn't give you that option until you're at least a good third of the way in. Nope, Nikki gives it to us right out the gate. And let me tell you, when I say that sets the tone for what's going to happen, it really does. The idea of a rivalry with him is just everything to this book. Um, Especially with his jealousy over Vlada and constantly feeling like she's going to cheat on him. Which honestly, if you met the guy, she probably should. But the thing is fantastically well written. The the parts that we do like about the gameplay loop is they play out like an action movie. You feel like you constantly feel like you're watching your character do something badass. Except the whole resource management of the ammunition and the equipment, and you don't really know how to use your bandages is all a mess. But as I said, this book has story and personality. And if you need two things to succeed, those are it. Now, I love the concept, and I love where the story's going, and I love the idea of the options and paths that have been presented so far and the ones that Nikki's talked about being presented in the future. Um, Particularly the idea of having a romance with the team owner is a very interesting dynamic, very unique. We don't see that often. Um, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Nikki deals with media attention, uh, particularly as an esports player. One's got to be very curious about how that's going to be handled. One has to be very curious about how multiple tournaments are going to be handled, how uh, how character interaction is going to be interweaved with gameplay and story, and obviously uh, what off time is going to look like. What we've seen so far is that off time takes precedence over the gameplay loop, which honestly, given the quality in the off time interactions, I have not a single problem with. Uh, but yeah, those are just some quick thoughts. Um, One thing I would like to see is a reworked ammunition system. that makes it easier to tell uh, when you're using resources, how much you're using them, and make it feel more logical. If you're a pro esports player and you're using a sniper rifle, it shouldn't take you 7 bullets. I'm just saying. Um, and then obviously equipment like bandages, learning how to be able to use those. What we could really use more than anything is a better tutorial uh, to give us a better introduction to the game mechanics. Um, but in terms of the actual playing, or in terms of the actual story, fantastic. 10 out of 10. Wouldn't change a thing. But those are just some quick thoughts. So enjoy. And cheers.